This is WSBK-TV Channel 38, Boston, and it is time now for the TV38 mid-morning news report for this Friday, October 30th, 1970 at 10:45 a.m. Peter Wiggins with a report, and here are the news headlines. Governor Sargent has increased his lead over Boston Mayor Kevin White to a 51 to 39% margin according to Massachusetts poll conducted exclusively for the Boston Globe. The survey based on telephone interviews on October 25th and 26th with 1,000 voters in the state shows that Sargent has the greatest momentum in the gubernatorial campaign. 10% of the voters are still undecided. The governor has steadily increased his lead over the mayor since the September 15th Democratic primary in which White was chosen to oppose Sargent. As of September 22nd, the governor led White 43 to 40%. 2 weeks later, Sargent was still at 43%, but the mayor slipped to 34%. The governor is now supported by a majority of the electorate, rising 8 points to 51%, while White has increased his support 5 points to 39%. The Massachusetts poll is conducted exclusively for the Globe by Becker Research Corporation of Boston. Many previously undecided voters have been making up their minds in recent weeks. The group dropped from 23% on October 8th to 10% at present. More of these voters appear to be moving into Sargent's column than into White's increase of the governor's lead. Negotiations between White and Sargent on a televised debate broke down during the poll, and the debate will be tonight, and the temporary impasse does not appear to have made much impact on the voters. Among the 707 voters interviewed prior to the debate between negotiations breakdown on October 26th, Sargent had a 52 to 39% lead. Among the 293 interviewed afterwards, the margin changed slightly to 49 to 39%.
What do you think, A or B?
Among both groups, the ratios of Democratic to Republicans and men to women were close. Further indication of the lack of impact of the debate as it is showed the fact that those few of these interviewed after the past that they were voting for the White to caucus ticket because they felt Sargent was refusing the debate. The most frequent reasons given by voters for the support of White to caucus were they were normally voted for Democrats and the mayor would get a good governor, a small percentage of the Dukakis presidents with the ticket as a candidate for lieutenant governor who won their support. Many Sargent White voters mentioned that the governor has done a good job. Massachusetts polls in the Senate Globe will elect the debate races of the U.S. Senate in the 3rd and 12th congressional districts. The Friday night fights return to television tonight as Governor Sargent and Mayor White meet their long-awaited confrontation at 7:03 p.m. tonight. Hour-long debate will be staged in the WHDH Channel 5 studios and carried by wide radio and television station network across the state. After nearly a month and a half of negotiations, the debate was set up in a matter of hours yesterday. White, the Democratic candidate for governor, held a press conference on a confrontation tonight and to suggest the specific ground rules. Live coverage of tonight's White-Sargent debate and emanating from Channels 5 is expected to be carried on all Boston TV stations, which is Channels 2, 4, and 7, and plus Channel 6 in Bedford, and arrangements were being made for radio broadcasts over stations WHDH, WBZ, WROE, WEI, and WGBH-FM. Providence. All public schools in Providence were ordered closed until further notice last night because of racial unrest in the city. Superintendent Richard C. Briggs making an announcement said there have been several incidents during the past few days and intelligence reports indicate more trouble could be expected. Briggs said he took the step with the greatest reluctance and regret and hoped the schools will be open in the immediate future. The Boston School Committee and the State Board of Education appeared to be headed for a class over the state's board's new policy on open enrollment. School Committee Chairman Joseph Lee said yesterday that the committee may refuse to go along with the new policy, that the policy prohibits transfers out of the neighborhood schools unless it improves racial balance even in the center of receiving school. Boston current enrollment plan allows students to transfer to any school where there are vacant seats. And the committee does balk at the new rule, it could lead to a repetition. San Jose, California, demonstrators hurled eggs, rocks, and bottles at President Nixon last night in the largest and noisiest anti-Nixon protest he has faced since becoming president. The anti-war protesters estimated at 900 by the Secret Service confronted the president's sedan bus as he entered and left in an auditorium where he addressed 8,000 enthusiastic supporters. The protesters shook the fists at the president as he left and threw rocks on other objects at cars and buses in his caravan. At least one press bus was hit by several rocks and an egg smashed against the presidential limousine. 4 windows were broken on a bus carried Nixon guests and White House aides. At one point, police using batons charged into the crowd and pushed them aside. A door was broken at the auditorium when demonstrators pretended to push their way in. The door had to be tied with a rope to keep it closed. San Jose police said extra officers were called in to keep the demonstrators from going in the auditorium. The Secret Service were told me that about 900 demonstrators outside shouted their hostility for the United States and shouted their usual obscenities, the president said at one point during his speech. Saigon, U.S. Command report where there were 43 Americans killed in the combat last week, the 4th week in a row. There have been fewer than 50. The 4-week total of 167 is a 5-year low. American battlefield deaths since January 1st, 1961 was totaling 43,904. The 279 would last week, but the war total 291,024. The U.S. Command lists 1,428 Americans as missing as prisoners. Hyenas, Cape Codders were warned yesterday that the current rapid growth of tourism in the area endangers the economy of Barnstable County and the survival of the tourist industry itself. The Cape Cod Planning and Economic Development Commission, in a resolution of Republican civic officials of 15 Cape towns, recommended an immediate study towards limited future constructions of public accommodations such as motels, hotels, and restaurants. The commission, comprised of representatives from the towns, also suggested a study be made of current strip zoning practices and possible future use of planned unit developments in consideration as second retirement homes building as a new industry. Noted that unchecked development was a threat to survival of the Cape's environment, the planning unit also established a 5-member panel in a study that matter and report corrective measures at the meeting next month. Passage resolution on a 12-2 vote followed defeat of a more immediately of a move to oppose building of public accommodation facilities. The vote against was 10-4.
Swelling, trouble breathing, rash, hives, blisters.
Norman H. Cook, executive director of the planning agency, noted that the Boston Globe said Tuesday on the possibility that such action has caused concern among the Cape business community. Henry DeForest of Bourne opposed the immediate restrictions, said this community just received a federal grant to promote tourism. A move like this could hurt towns. Like Bourne, he said, we had gone on record of looking for tourists. Each town has its own problems and it must solve it itself, he added. Nicholas Wells of Provincetown, also opposing an agency standing against future unplanned construction, said to pass the necessary rezoning measures required a 2/3 vote of town meetings, which he said was a near possibility. This is doing that we depend on the town. Wells said he had suggested some non-best legislation on the state level to set up possible guidelines for future action, and that the commission proposal bordered on an outright confiscation of land. In sports, the Boston Bruins have won 5 games and tied 1 since the season opened, fell victims of the Detroit Jinx again last night. The Detroit Wings scored twice in the 3rd period for a 5-3 victory here. LK on the weather for Boston vicinity, fair and mild, high temperature at 50 median coast and 60 interior. Winds becoming onshore about 10 to 15 miles per hour. Tonight, fair low around 40 degrees on coast and 30 degrees interior. Tomorrow, fair and mild, high around 60 degrees, probably a rain near 0. Massachusetts, Rhode Island, fair highs in the 50s and 60. Fair tonight, low near 30 interior and 40 median coast. Tomorrow, fair but with some high cloud and highs in the 50s to the low 60s. New Hampshire, Vermont, and Maine, fair highs in the 50s to the 60s. Fair tonight, lows up 20s and low 30s. Tomorrow, fair but with some high cloud and highs in the 50s to 60. Zonal forecast, all zones fair highs in the 50s to 60. Fair tonight, low near 30 inland and near 40 on the coast. Fair but with some high cloud and highs in the 50s to low 60s tomorrow. Sunset, 4:41 p.m. Moonset, 4:39 p.m. Length of the day, 10:17, and turn on headlights at 4:47 p.m. High tide, 10:54 a.m. about 2 minutes from now, and 11:18 p.m. and low tide, 5:12 p.m. New moon today, 1:28 a.m. First quarter moon, November 6th at 7:47 a.m. and full moon, November 13th, 2:28 a.m. and last quarter moon, November 29th at 6:13 p.m. on November 20th. Right now, a local report, our current conditions at approaching 11 o'clock hour, 52 degrees at the temperature with dew point about 37 degrees, the humidity of 57%, barometer 58 inches, visibility 8 miles per wind south-southeast about 3, and clear skies. That's coming here for the WSBK-TV 38 mid-morning news on this Friday, October 3rd, 1970. I'm Peter Wiggins. Have a good day. I'll see you later. Bye-bye, buddy.